Back in 1987, the VFL began its major national expansion with teams from WA and Queensland joining the Victorian League. But what if, instead of joining the VFL, WA and Queensland joined forces with South Australia and Tasmania to form the first truly national competition? The year is 1987 and Australian football is divided into separate state leagues. The VFL is starting to be seen as the best and perhaps most popular of these leagues and are now looking to truly cement that number one position by becoming the first national competition. The VFL put out the offer to the other states and territories of Australia to create a team that would represent their part of the country in the VFL. WA, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania consider the offer and decide they'd rather not join a heavily Victorian focused league and instead decide to form their own national competition with the intent to compete with and one day overthrow the VFL as the most popular league in Australia. They call this new competition the AFL. The first two teams to join this new national competition are the West Coast Eagles from WA and the Brisbane Bears from Queensland. South Australia decide to build on the history of an already established SANFL team by promoting the Port Adelaide Magpies to the AFL. The Tasmanian Devils round out the first four teams. Those in charge of the AFL aren't stupid. They know they'll need representation in the footy heartland of Victoria if this new league is going to compete with the VFL. Offers are made to all current VFL clubs to leave the Victorian League and join the new national competition, with large financial incentives given to those that do. Most VFL sides reject the offer without hesitation, as they believe the AFL will be a short-lived failure. One team, however, knows their future in the VFL is looking bleak. The Fitzroy Lions decide to take the money, leave the VFL, and take a chance on their future in the AFL. With 5 teams now in the league, the AFL were looking for one more to round out the first season. With New South Wales without a team in the national competition, the AFL attempt to deal another blow to the VFL by poaching the Victorian competition's only remaining non-Victorian side. The Sydney Swans, feeling their rightful home was in the national competition, leave the VFL and join the AFL. With 6 teams covering the majority of the country, the AFL was ready for its first season, but those in charge were not just satisfied with representing most of Australia, and should this national competition be as successful as they hoped, significant expansion was a genuine goal. Over the course of the 90s and 2000s, the new AFL began a period of great expansion. The first order of business was to further strengthen their place in football heartland states. The Fremantle Dockers joined the league as the second team from WA, and the Norwood Redlegs, renamed the Norwood Reds, became the second team from the SANFL to earn a licence to join the national competition. Meanwhile, in the VFL, many teams were still struggling financially, and with a second team in mind for Victoria, the AFL once again put out the offer for one of those struggling teams to join the new league. A merger deal was struck between the Melbourne Demons and the Hawthorn Hawks, and the Melbourne Hawks became the second Victorian team in the AFL. Many years later, the AFL looked to continue its expansion, with a team in the Northern Territory, and second teams in Queensland and New South Wales. As one of the most successful teams in the NTFL, the Darwin Buffaloes became the first team to represent the top end in the AFL, while the GWS Giants became New South Wales' second team. For the second Queensland-based side, serious consideration was given to an offer the AFL had received from VFL side North Melbourne, who had offered to leave the VFL, join the AFL, and relocate to Queensland to become the Gold Coast Kangaroos. The AFL instead decided that their money would be better spent investing in an entirely new franchise, and the Gold Coast Suns entered the AFL. By 2021, 12 teams made up the new AFL that truly represented the entirety of the country. The new league had achieved their goal of becoming the powerhouse league in Australia.